Hey guys, this is North back again with another video. Today's video, I'm going to talk to you about my top 10 citrus fragrances that I have in my collection. Now, the summer is almost over with for a majority of you. For me, I'll probably have 100-degree weather for like the next 3 months, but I wanted to get this video out before the end of the month. So I'm going to list off the top 10 citrus fragrances that I have in my collection. I'll have a couple honorable mentions that I'll talk about. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, citrus-based fragrances is the first classification of fragrances that I ever got into, much like a lot of people, because they're just easy to like, they're refreshing, they're like invigorating, especially in the heat. So a brief history about eau de cologne or cologne style fragrances is that the term eau de cologne can refer to one of two things. The first one is that eau de cologne generally refers to a concentration of a fragrance, which will be between 2 to 5% oil concentration, or what a lot of companies have been doing more recently, I guess probably, last 20-30 years, are making fragrances in a cologne style. They could be a eau de parfum concentration, they could be a eau de toilette concentration, but they're in a cologne style, which means that they are citrus heavy. Now, the term eau de cologne was coined by a Italian perfumer. So briefly, the eau de cologne style was developed as a spirit citrus-based fragrance, and in 1709, Giovanni Marina Farina had wrote to his brother that he had created a fragrance that reminded him of the mountains of Italy and the daffodils and the orange blossoms after the rain. And he named it Eau de Cologne as an ode to his new hometown. Now, the most popular Eau de Cologne, and one that has been in production for a very long time, is from the house 4711. They have a longer name than that, but generally they're known as 4711. I only have one to show you at this time, and it's not the original. This one is lychee and white mint. So these are all eau de cologne styles. This one's good, it's invigorating, but the original one is one that you could get 500 milliliters of for next to nothing. I had it at a time, I've ran out of it. I like to use it as sometimes as an aftershave, sometimes as just a pick-me-up in the house after I get out of the shower. So let's go ahead and get into my list. There are two fragrances that I want to mention before I get into my top 10 list. The first one is from the house of Abdul al Qurashi, and this one is called Mandarin and Bergamot. This one is a very great citrus-based fragrance. It's sort of heavy. It reminds me of Sicily from Mancera. I don't have a bottle of it. When I was back in my hometown visiting, my uncle smelled it on me and said that he liked it. I had about half a bottle left, so I just gave it to him since he liked it so much, and I always have access to it here, but I haven't picked it up since trying to do this list. The next fragrance I want to mention is one that is discontinued. I'm not sure how hard it is to find because I found it locally and I got it for less than $30. And this is from the house of Issey Miyake. I believe Issey Miyake, they said that he had just recently passed away, so this is just fitting to mention this right now. And this one's called Yuzu. It's called L'Eau d'Issey pour Homme Yuzu. Now, if you look on Fragrantica, you'll see that it smells like a number of other Issey Miyake fragrances, none of which I have. I've only owned a couple, but I wasn't a big fan of the house in general from the ones that I did pick up outside of Yuzu. But I love Yuzu. This is just a citrus, woody fragrance. It's very awesome, but it's been discontinued for a while. I have a little bit more than half a bottle here left, but if you can get your hands on it, I definitely would pick it up if you can get it for a decent price. So let's go ahead and get into the list. Another thing I wanted to mention is that these citrus-based fragrances, or even summer fragrances in general, I don't believe in just spending a ton of money on these citrus-based fragrances because, fragrances can be very expensive, but with the citrus-based fragrances, they don't last a very long time because that's just the nature of the molecules within citruses, so they don't last a very long time. So my threshold is generally about maybe $150, but most of which I've mentioned, that's been like the threshold. I do have one I paid about $150 for, but generally majority of the ones on here I got for around $100 or less than $100. Now, coming in at number 10 on my list is from the house of Perris Monte Carlo, and this is Mandarino di Sicilia. This one I put at number 10 on the list. This is a great orange Mandarin based fragrance. This one was released in 2018. Notes on it are mandarin, bitter orange, petitgrain, orange blossom, and cedar. So it is a bright, juicy orange mandarin type scent that has like a woody sort of dry down. And this one comes at number 10 on my list. These retail for about 150 euros. I got this for about half of that price, so that's why I picked it up. 150 euros for, again, a cologne style of citrus based fragrance is quite pricey in my opinion. So let's go ahead and move on. Number 9 on my list is from the house of Mancera, and this one is Sicily. Sicily was released in 2016. Again, this one has mandarin orange, grapefruit, peach, pineapple, bergamot, and apple. I do really like this fragrance. When I wore it when I was at home, generally here you don't get people complimenting you on your fragrances, but when I was back in the States, I got a number of compliments on the fragrances that I wore, which is, it can be a good thing, but it doesn't really matter to me. But Sicily, the reason I have this one at number 9 is because it is very heavy. It does last a long time. It is a quality scent to have in this genre. But for me, when it's so hot here, 100, 110, 120 degrees outside, I don't like to have fragrances that are just so heavy on me. So that's why this one is at number 9. But it will also stay in my collection because I remember Centrifugal Force, he just was like, this is the best citrus based fragrance of all time. So I had to get my hands on it, and I have to keep it in my collection just for nostalgia purposes. Moving on. Number 8 on the list comes from the house of Nishane, and this one is Colognise. So Colognise was released in 2018. Notes on it are bergamot, green tea, jasmine, lemon, grapefruit, neroli, and vetiver. This one says it's an extrait de cologne. I would assume extrait de cologne means is that it's an extrait concentration in a cologne style. This one I do like as well. I like it a lot more than Saffron Colognise. Saffron Colognise is nice, but that's more of like a fall, like spring type scent. This one is definitely one you can get away with, that you want to wear in the summertime. I do have it at number 8 because I have more on the list that I like to wear or go to a little bit more. Moving on. Number 7 on the list comes from the house of Acqua di Parma, and this is Fico di Amalfi. This one right here is a great fig fragrance. It's not the most realistic one, but what I like about it, it does have a lot of like sour citrus notes that complement it. So this is an awesome one to wear in the summertime. It was released in 2006. This one has grapefruit, bergamot, citron, lemon, fig tree, fig nectar, and cedar in it. This is just a great refreshing one as well. It is also, it projects a lot, and it's a little bit heavier scent than some of the other ones that I have mentioned and will mention, but this is one that I really enjoy. When I was first getting into fig fragrances, this was the very first one that I picked up. Moving on. Coming in at number 6, I'm going back to the house of Perris Monte Carlo, and this one is called Cedro Diamante. Cedro Diamante is my favorite of the 3 that I had available to me. There are, I believe, 4 total in this citrus-based Mediterranean-themed releases that Perris Monte Carlo came out with. This one was released in 2018. The notes are citron, lemon, lime, lemon verbena, and oak moss. This one is a great lemon-based fragrance. As I was trying these out, coming up with my list and just wearing them throughout the summer, I just realized that I enjoy lemon-based fragrances more than I enjoy orange or Mandarin based fragrances, but this one comes in at number 6, but it is my favorite from the two that I do own from Paris, Monte Carlo, and this is Cedro Diamante. Now we're down to the top 5, and number 5 on my list is my most recent citrus acquisition. I finally got it in, but I just had been trying it for a few months in the store, and then I ordered it online, whereas I probably should have just bought it from the store, because if you add in shipping and everything else that I had to pay, it really wasn't worth the savings. And this one is coming from Dolce & Gabbana, and this is Light Blue Forever. Now there are a ton of reviews of Light Blue Forever online, and everyone that talks about this like realistic, bitter, zingy grapefruit note in it. And when I first tried it, I was taken aback by it, but the more I smelled it, the more I really enjoyed it. I just really like that punchiness to it. Light Blue Forever was released in 2021. Notes in this are grapefruit, bergamot, ozonic notes, violet leaf, white musk, and patchouli. The citrus in it lasts a pretty long time. It doesn't last necessarily the whole life of the fragrance, but it does last a good like first couple of hours. You do get that zingy citrus before it starts to like die down. I got Light Blue Forever instead of the newer Italian Love or whatever it's called, because this one is an eau de parfum and that new one is an eau de toilette. So this was my number 5, Light Blue Forever. Number 4 on my list is another new citrus based acquisition for me, and this comes from Premier Note, and this is Orange Calabria. This is a house that I don't hear much about, and this particular fragrance I maybe found 1 or 2 reviews of Orange Calabria online, but this one is sort of in that same vein of Light Blue Forever, where it has a very realistic and zingy and tart orange note in it, and it is like having the rind and all the juices. It's like digging right into an orange, and I just fell in love with this one instantly. I was like testing it at a new shop, and I was like, okay, this one's it. I just wanted to walk around, got some coffee, see how long it lasts. Like I said, most of these don't last, you know, all day, probably 4 hours max you get out of the majority of these, but I just love that realistic orange note that it has in it, and I don't have any other fragrance that has such a photorealistic orange note in it. So this one is definitely in my top 5. I'll be enjoying wearing this. I got it for a good deal. I'm not sure how much, well, here it retailed for around 100, but I was able to find it for cheaper than that, so that's why I went on ahead and picked it up. The notes in this one, it doesn't have a release date. The notes in this one are bitter orange, Brazilian orange, Petitgrain, Tunisian orange blossom, white musk, sandalwood, and heliotrope. If you have this house in your area, Premier Note, you should definitely give it a try. It's awesome. I really enjoy it. Moving on. Number 3 on my list was also on another list video that I made about 7 fragrances that I thought were the truth, and this is coming from Rosendo Metal, and this is number 1. It's called Bergamot Tea Leaf Sandalwood. This one was released in 2017. Notes in this are bergamot, mandarin, lime, tea leaf, orange blossom, neroli, sandalwood, and iris. And this one is a citrus tea based fragrance in the same vein of like Oolong Cha, but I think that one is just still more tea than this one. Here you get the tea note in it, but you get a good mixture of tea and citruses in it. I do still love this fragrance. That's why I have it in my top 5. It's one that it lasts a pretty long time, and it's a good masculine mature scent, but right now I have it at number 3. Number 2 on my list is another one from the house of Mancera, and that is Lemon Lime. Now, a little bit about Lemon Lime with me is that I remember I was sort of over Mancera and Montals, and I almost got rid of Lemon Lime. Then I tried it again, and I just was like, whoa, it was like I almost never smelt it before. This is one of my favorite summer fragrances. On Fragrantica, it says it smells similar to Acqua Viva from Parfumum Roma. That is one that I kind of like put on my wish list, but Parfumum Roma fragrances are definitely out of my price range when I was talking about what I would spend on citrus fragrances, but maybe I'll treat myself to it one day. Until then, this is just an awesome lemon based fragrance. The notes in it are lemon, lavender, orange, geranium, oak moss, and white musk. This, to me, I like more than Sicily. It does, to me, it has a realistic lemon smell to it. It does last a long time, like most Manceras are known for, and then it has that like lemon, woody, cedar dry down to it, which I love. But this one is my number 2. This is one that is a staple of my citrus base and my summer scents for sure. I definitely won't be checking too much for Mancera, but this is one that I absolutely love. Now let's move on to number 1. Number 1, you may be able to guess, and that is Dior Homme Cologne. This is the 2013. It only lists 3 notes: bergamot, grapefruit, and musk. To me, this is the classiest, most sophisticated, like citrus-based fragrance that I've smelled. There's some on this list that lasts longer than this one does, but this is just, it takes the cake for me. When I smelled it, the only reason I picked it up was because at the time it was like discontinued before they re-released it. And to me, you know, you get citruses from it. I don't know what other notes are in it. You smell a little bit of grapefruit. It has a little bit of a musky dry down. You can't overspray this enough. Almost like most of all of these, this is one I'm looking forward to getting a 200 ml bottle of it. It's very good that they re-released it. I smelled the re-release. They essentially smell the same, but I am looking forward to eventually one day picking up a 200 ml of this one. To me, it's just the bee's knees when it comes to citrus-based fragrances. It's unique. It doesn't smell like anything else. Most eau de cologne styles with the citrus, the lemon, the bergamot, a neroli, they have a lot of similarities to it, and I haven't smelled a fragrance that smelled exactly like this one. So this is why Dior Homme Eau de Cologne 2013 is my number 1 on the list. Now, what are some of your favorite citrus-based fragrances? Do you like citrus-based fragrances? Is there anybody that doesn't like them? There are a ton of different types of scents that you can wear during the summer, but to me, these are just the staples for me. These are ones that I always want to go to. I like being light and airy, and to me, I reserve these specifically for the summer. Some of the other scents that can be on summer lists, you can wear multiple different settings like spring and the fall, whereas to me, I feel like citrus-based fragrances are strictly categorized in as far as summer scents and that high heat. So just let me know in the comments what are some of your favorite citrus-based fragrances, some that are maybe more affordable, some that are more on the expensive side. Just let me know, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.